stuff. So we are looking up to, to be put right. But nevertheless, it's been a very great experience.
Amazing, Stephen. So yes, so waiting to be corrected. That was one of the important things that I picked up from what you said. Waiting to be corrected. Okay, right. Hold on. Let me just do this. Okay. So waiting to be corrected. Yes. So one of the key things that you need to understand in this program is continuous learning, and then also getting feedback from yourself and from your peers as well, right? So everything that you're doing, I'm always on the call. So last time someone did share a question on Discord, so I'm going to share that here now. Just give me a second to just pull this up. Okay, so I'm going to just bring one of it up so that we just quickly discuss that before we jump to today's main topic. Okay, so let's go to okay. All right. So I am going to share this with you. I guess I shared it on the chat on Discord. I don't know if everybody does see it, but I am going to show it to you here. I am always ready to help you guys. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to discuss with you. Okay. So Stephen, if you can see what I'm sharing, this is one of the questions that someone shared on the chat, right? To develop an algorithm that takes a list of numbers and calculate the sum of the squares of each number. For example, if the input is 1, 2, 3, the sum of the squares is 1 squared plus 2 squared plus 3 squared, which is equal to 14 on this question. How many input do we have to consider? I'm confused. So I actually took the time to work this out, share the studio code, and even share some additional resources with you guys. And I was hoping that you guys would actually engage with this and see how it's done. All right. So basically, this algorithm is to take a list of numbers. Okay. So those list of numbers is what you can see in the flowchart as I indicated here. And I'm saying that the algorithm, yes. So you can reach out to me, let's say go. If you have any challenge whatsoever, that is why I'm there. You can reach out to me. If you feel like you are not on the right track or anything, don't hesitate at all. Just reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction. Okay, great. So now if you look here, I say the algorithm starts from here. Then I have a container sum that holds a value of 0. Okay. Then what happens is I'm going to check that I, which is what you can see in my pseudo code, that I point to the last number. If it is yes, then I'm going to return the end. Okay, return the sum and then end the algorithm. If not, if no, then I'm going to take the sum, add the sum of the number that is actually actually in the numbers, square it, raise it to the power 2. And then once that is done, I update I, and then I keep doing this until I points. Guys, this is being live streamed, guys, so you don't actually have to worry about recording it. You can always rewatch it on YouTube. All right. So this keeps happening until I points to the last number, and then it returns the sum. Okay. Now, designing algorithms is not a one-way street, okay? You please zoom in the screen a bit. Freddie, I think I've already shared this, so I'm going to share this with you again. I'm going to share this again on the chat, okay? So I'm sharing this on the chat, so you can just go through it. If you have any algorithm, you can share it with me. We'll work on it together, and then you see how it's designed. Now, this is called thinking, okay? When you are designing or building an algorithm, you are actually thinking. You are thinking about how to actually build solutions for problems. And algorithms are one of the better ways to actually write out your thoughts, design them in an unambiguous steps, and then have them implemented. Okay, and you use tools like pseudocode to actually help you in achieving this. So I'm going to take another person. Anyone else? Anyone else? Hi, Freddie. I guess you wanted to say something, Freddie.
Hi, Cole. I just wanted to reflect on the algorithm type of a question, especially question 1, where we have to do things in reverse to write the numbers in ascending order. Yeah, I've been thinking about that the whole time, even tired. And now that you are showing us here, I think it's very helpful. And I think when I go back to my pages, because I have tons of them, I've just destroyed a lot, making mistakes. So I'll go back and check them. But up to this far, I feel like the pressure is now mounting up. And I think it's a good thing.
Okay, so don't feel pressured, okay? Don't feel pressured. we are about to jump into the sweet waters. So please don't feel pressured yet. Okay. So Freddie, just as part of your reflection, it is important for you to know that whenever you are doing something that you feel a challenge or you feel that you don't understand something, it is actually a signal to you that you're actually doing the right thing, okay? You are actually trying to learn something new, okay? So please don't feel pressured. Don't feel as if you've been left out in any way, okay? Victor, I know you shared a question with me on LinkedIn. I asked you for a clarification, but it didn't come through. So if you have the chance, please share that with me as well, and we'll work on it together, okay? All right, let's go. Let's go. You can unmute and then ask a question. Hello. Okay, I guess his mic is not working properly. Okay, guys, let's go on. All right, so what are we going to look at today? I don't know why this is not showing for me. All right, Freddie, just come in before we move on.
I wanted to just come in before we get into the real things. I have a problem with the people in my group. I'm not sure whether we are under the same time zone. I've tried reaching out on Discord. There's no response. I don't know how to go about it. I'm really confused, and I don't know.
Did you use the group that was shared with you on the events on the intranet?
Yeah, on the intranet, I tried contacting everyone who's there, but I can't see anyone who's active on Discord, who's in my group.
Okay, so Obed shared a video that'll help you to actually find your peers on Discord. Did you get a chance to watch that video?
I think I didn't get a chance. I'll check on Discord how I can.
Yes,
I'll check the video that he has shared.
Yes, just go to the announcement channel. You should see the announcement on there.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
All right. But also, I'm going to actually share the link to that particular message on the chat. So anyone who wants to go and look at it, please feel free to actually go there and look at it.
Great stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's go. If you are unmuted, can you please speak? It looks like we can't hear you. I can't see your mic even move. All right, let's go. No worries. You can put your question in the chat, and I'll make sure I read it out. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, guys. So key topics and concepts again. Okay. So we've done an introduction to the web. We looked at some of the key terminologies and key principles that we need to understand in order to be able to build stuff for the web. We also looked at mapping your mind, and do not beat yourself up if you don't get it in the first try. It will take you a couple of times to actually practice to get an understanding, okay, of it, okay? So in this case, we've looked at mapping your mind, and mapping your mind does not only limit you to just solving questions like the one you see on the intranet or the one that I shared with you guys, okay? but also it is also a tool that you can use to actually design solutions for almost any problem at all. Okay, emphasis on almost. Okay, and now we're going to look at Git and GitHub and what it is and how we can use these things. Okay, so first things I'm going to today, the tools I'm going to use today will be my Notepad, just like I did last week. Okay, so we have this one here, and then I'm going to also use my Visual Studio Code. Okay, my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to just bring it from the other screen to this side. Okay, these are the two tools that I'm going to use as well, not forgetting my browser as well. I will be using my browser as well, okay, in here. So these are the three tools that I'm going to use today. If you don't have them, please kindly install your Visual Studio Code, because we are going to rely heavily on Visual Studio Code and how we can actually do version control, or we can apply Git in our Visual Studio Code. Then we're also going to utilize our browser, okay, to do a couple of stuff. All right, great. So let's continue with where we left off last week. Git and GitHub. What is Git and what is GitHub? Okay, so I'm going to start with GitHub. GitHub, okay. And we Freddie, please ask a question. Hi, Freddie.
Okay. The Visual Studio Code.
Yeah.
I have a problem with it on my computer because I'm using Windows 8. I wanted to know if I could use Replit, or I don't know what other source I can, because I've tried Sublime and it's not working as well.
But Freddie, I'm curious. Why are you using Windows 8? Haven't you upgraded to Windows 10?
I've been using. I'm sorry, I've been using Windows 8, and I don't know what was the fast, because.
Okay,
or maybe I should alternatively just change to Windows 10 if there's no any other solution.
That would help you. But you also can go to Google and type VS Code download for Windows 8. Okay, like this.
Okay.
You see that? Whichever architecture that you're using, is your PC 32-bit architecture or 64-bit architecture? Whichever one, so you just search and it'll give you the exact download, okay, that you need.
Okay,
right, good.
I'll try. I'll do it like that just now.
All right, great. All right. So, anyone else? Okay, great. So now let's start with GitHub. Okay. Now, when it comes to writing software or writing code, it is important that you don't always keep your code bundle on your PC, on your local PC. Now, when I say local host or device or PC, what I mean is the PC or the device you are using right now to actually watch this session. Victor, okay, I think Blessing has answered that question. So your local host is the device you're using. It could be your laptop, it could be your iPad, it could be your desktop. Whichever device you're using is referred to as your local host, or your local device, or your PC, okay? Now, in writing software, you are going to be managing a lot of project files, okay? Project files. So, for example, project files, right? Into brackets, so this, right? For example, if you are building the next WhatsApp, okay, you are going to create a project file or project folder on your PC. Now, on that PC, it's going to contain all the files that are related to that particular project. It could be images, it could be videos, it could be Word documents, it could be PDF documents, it could be HTML documents, it could be CSS, it could be JavaScript, it could be any number of files, right, that are related to your project. So to put that into perspective, if you are working on a project, you will have a project folder, okay? You would have a project folder like this. You have a project folder, and that project folder will be given a name. So let's call this a task manager application, okay? So we have a project folder called a task manager application. Now, how do we go about creating a project folder? I'm going to open my file explorer, which is this one here. Okay, I believe we all have this. Okay, I'll go to documents, and then in my document, I'm going to right click, go to new, and then folder. Okay, this will be my project folder, tax manager, like this. Okay, this is my project folder, tax manager. Now, in this tax manager, it's going to have related files and folders. Okay, related files and folders. Now, those related files and folders could be your HTML files. So we have example files. We have HTML, we have CSS, we have JavaScript, we have Python, etc. Right? These could be some of your project files. Okay. You could also have some project folders like this. Okay, so you could have, let's say, your asset folder, could have your images folder, could have your video folder. Okay, you can have your JS folder. You can have your styles folder, and so on. Okay, these are all related to the project that you are working on. I hope everybody is following what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Now, once you have all these things created and set up, your project is ready for development. But all these things are created locally on your local device. Okay, sorry, from here, locally on your local device. They only exist on your local device, right? Once you're writing software, the software has the ability to scale to a huge project or even stay a small project. But what you need to understand is that it becomes very cumbersome when you just maintain the project folders on your local device. So many things could go wrong. There can be some electrical faults that will actually destroy your PC, and then all your project files and folders are lost. Your device could be subjected to theft. Someone could steal your PC, and that one as well will cause you to lose all your project files and folders. You could even maybe lose it. Maybe you are going somewhere, traveling somewhere, you just left your device in a car or at a restaurant or your cousin's place or any place, right? And these are all environmental factors that can cause you to lose your project files and folders, right? Now, this is where GitHub comes in. GitHub is an online repository, okay? Now, what is an online repository? It's basically like OneDrive or your Google Drive or your Dropbox, okay? It is an online repository that allows you to store all your project folders remotely on some server in the cloud, okay? So once you save a copy of your project in the online repository, that project becomes safe. What happens is if any of the factors that I mentioned happens and then you lose your project folders, files and folders, you can still have access to a copy of it on GitHub. Now, apart from that, GitHub does so many things, okay? It helps you to even set up what we call a CI/CD pipeline. It helps you to actually deploy your project easily to servers and so on. But for the sake of this particular tutorial, we are going to leverage heavily on GitHub as an online repository where we can store our code. So then where do we have access to GitHub? So I'm going to go to my browser now. I'll just close this for now and then go to my browser. Now in my browser, I'll go to the address bar and then go to github.com, okay, like this. Now, if you do not have an account, if you don't have an account, sign out from all 3 accounts. Okay, good. When you go to github.com, this is what you see. Okay, it is actually being managed by Microsoft. All right, this is their website. It allows you to actually create an account and onboard yourself to GitHub. We already went through this earlier on, but we are going through it again. So you can do it by actually clicking on sign up. following the prompts to actually sign up and create an account with GitHub. I believe we all have an account. If you do, just click on sign in and then just type your credentials in here, okay? So I am going to log in here. Now, once I log in, it is going to take me to the home page, okay? This is the GitHub home page, right? In here, you can see a bunch of repositories that you have created, okay? You can see organizations that maybe you belong to. You can see some pathways. You can see some news and so on, right? Just take your time to play around with it, okay? And you are not going to break anything, okay, or whatever. So just take your time and play with it. But one thing that I need us to note are these few icons here. The icon here, dashboard, brings you to the main dashboard of github.com. Okay. Now, to your far right, you would see a couple of icons as well. So there's the search icon here. If you want to search for a particular repository or anything, you can search for it on here using the search bar. As well, there's the plus icon here that allows you to create a new repository, import a repository, new code space, new gist, new organization, new projects. Okay. You can as well see issues in here. Okay. So there can be some issues that have been created that you can just click on and it comes here. But for now, maybe you might not need it. Okay. There's pull requests, then there's notifications, but also to the far right, you see your account. Okay. You see your avatar here. If you don't have an avatar, you probably see your credentials embedded in this particular small icon at the top right. So let me just make this a bit bigger for the sake of other people. All right, good. So this icon here is your account. So when you click on this, you get a pop-up where you can still access your repositories. Okay, you can access your profile. You can add an account. You can access projects, organizations, enterprises. You can access all these things here, okay, including the settings, okay, the settings or configuration, all right? So the first thing that I'm going to make us try is we're going to create a project, a new repository. Now, what is the repository? So I'll bring back up my notepad, okay? What is a repository? A repository maps to your project folder, okay? A repository maps to your project folder. So a repository is a representation of the project folder that you are working in. Okay. So for this, what we created initially, we created a project folder called Tax Manager. Where is it? If I can see it right here. Okay. So let me make this bigger. Okay. So we created a project folder called Tax Manager. For me to do the same thing on GitHub, I need to create a repository, okay? So I'm going to click on this one right here, or I can click on this new here, the new green button here, okay? Now, this will bring me to this space, okay? Now, this is basically clicks. So you need to be able to read all these things and understand them. So I am going to create, it says a repository contains all project files, including revision history. Already have a project repository elsewhere, import that repository in here. But we don't, so we're going to create a new one. I am the owner, okay? So I'm going to create the repository name here as Task Manager. Now, it is going to check if this name already exists in my repositories, or have I already created a repository with this similar name, okay? 1 second, let me check something. All right, so we are live streaming. All right, guys. So you can give any repository name whatsoever that you want in here. Now, I am going to relate this to the projects that we are doing on the intranet. So I'm going to bring this one right here up. Okay, and I'm going to go to intranet. Okay, and then let me just basically go to Git. Okay, so I'm going to open this. Okay, so whilst it opens, I'll take this. Okay, right. So in your project, in your Git task, you would realize that you are asked we'll tackle this one here, tax 0, okay? We'll tackle that in a second. You will realize that you have been tasked to create a new directory. Okay, another thing, directory is also known as folder, okay? So I'm going to write that here. Directory is also folder, okay? Or better still, project folder / directory here. Okay, so there's no confusion. I want us all to be clear on the instructions that we have been given. Okay, so create a new directory called 0x01, okay, -get in your ALX-precourse repo. So that means we need to create a GitHub repository called ALX-precourse. Okay, then make sure you include a non-empty readme.md in your directory at the root of your repository here and this. So we're going to do this in a second, okay? But let's go back to our GitHub in here, okay? So this is me creating the repository or repo, okay? So another name for repository is repo. So I'm just going to put this here, repo, okay? Good. So once I have created this, and GitHub has actually run a validation to check if the project name is not already created, then it is going to tell me this is available and I have the opportunity the chance to actually create it, right? Great repository names are short and memorable. Need inspiration? How about what? Musical guide. So this is just a way for you to understand that when you're creating a repository name, it shouldn't be a very long repository, but it should be a short and memorable one, okay? Something that actually describes the project you're working on. For example, tax manager. Okay. Now there's a description part of it, which you can write, or it's an optional, right? You can choose to let it go. Now there are two types, or we call this visibility. Every repository has what we call visibility. Okay. So there is the public versus the private. Right here. So when you make your project repository public, anyone on the internet can see that repository. Okay, but you can choose who can commit. In as much as they can see, does not mean they can actually contribute to that project. You would actually have to decide who can commit to or contribute to that particular project. Okay, then there's the private visibility, right? So when your project is private, you choose who can see and commit to this repository. So when your project is private, no one on the internet would actually see this repository name tax manager, or in your case, the name that you allocate to this. Now you can choose to initialize this repository with a README file. So we're going to check this for now, okay? And then we're going to leave all this. And then it says you are creating a public repository in your personal accounts, okay? So I click on create repository. Before I do that, I'm just going to go over one more time. This is how you create a repository from your GitHub homepage. You can either choose to use the new button here, or you can click on the button at the top right with the plus icon and choose new repository. Okay, someone says, what does it mean to initialize with README file? What it means is that you are just creating a README file in the repository, okay? Good. So I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to, on here, I'm going to actually create the name of the repository, tax manager. It is going to check if it's available. Once it's available, then I can create, okay? Then I'm going to select public. Let's say I can choose to ignore this, okay? But if you want to initialize it, you can just check this. But always read the instructions, guys. Always read the instructions. Then I'm going to click on create repository. When I do this, I give it a second, it tells me it is creating the repository. Yes, Amanda, this will be on YouTube, so you can always rewatch it any number of times, okay? But also feel free to ask me any question whilst we are working on this. Okay, so you can raise your hand, you can unmute and ask your question, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. So now, as you can see here, you can see the tax manager has been created. Okay, we have the tax manager here in the address bar as well. You can see that this is the URL that we spoke about. This is the address to the project resource that I have created on the internet, okay, using GitHub. So for me to access this tax manager project, I need to know where it was saved, and it was saved at github.com. and it was saved to j.co.territory, what is my account, and then the name of the resource is Task Manager. Okay, so let me copy this. Let me bring that one here, and then let's come here and then type URL. Okay, so this is the URL. Okay, so the first part of it, okay, this part of it is the location on the internet, okay, or let's say the address, location or address on the internet. Then this part of it here is my username, the user of the repository. And then this part of it here is the repo or repository or project folder or directory created on the internet. Any questions up until this point, guys? Any question up until this point? Hi, Victor. Victor, do you have any question?
No, I'm fine. No question.
All right. Marianne Okoye, do you have any question? Okay. Sparks, you can unmute. Steven says his is looking different. Steven, how different is yours looking? Okay, maybe give us a description. Even if it looks different, you should still see the new and so on. Sparks, please, I'm waiting for you to unmute.
I'm using desktop application, GitHub, and
okay.
my interface looks different.
You are using a desktop application?
Yes.
You mean a GitHub desktop application?
Yeah.
So clearly that would look different from the website, right? So in order for us to be in sync and be on the same line, please use your browser and go to github.com so that you can at least follow through with the tutorial. And then later on, you can transfer that knowledge to your GitHub application. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you. Let's go. I hope your mic is working now. Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So can you remove your notepad, please?
Okay.
I just want to see the whole page there.
Okay. Yep.
So I see what you did. I see your URL there. How
Okay.
did you get the longer link? I just lost it there. I think you were moving quite fast.
This one here. How did I get this one here?
I see that one, and then yeah, can you explain from there, from the URL that you pasted there? Can you explain to me what you really meant on that?
Okay, so the URL here, you remember, Lesego, did you join the intro to web session?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you remember, I think someone, was it Priscilla? Someone asked the question here. I'm just going up a bit here on the URL and then the address, web address, right?
Yes.
You remember? And I told you that the URL is like, it is the address that points you to the resource on the internet. Do you remember?
Yes. Yes.
So now I am telling you that GitHub is an online repository, okay? It is a repository. It's like you have your hard disk or your solid state drive or your USB drive, right? But that USB drive is on the cloud. It's over the internet. So GitHub gives you access to storage space over the internet, okay? So when you create this project, your project folder, which is Task Manager, how can you locate the project folder? Okay, you can locate it using the URL, okay, which is the web address. So I'm just showing you what it means to have this web address, what each part of this web address means, because it's a holistic address. You see that here, okay?
Yes. Yes.
But if you break it down, the HTTPS is the protocol, and then the github.com is the domain name of GitHub. So this one here is the link or the location or address on the internet, right, of where your resource has been stored. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Then the j.co here, 233, would be your username on GitHub. Okay, so that makes up the second part of this. Do you see that?
Yes.
Then the task manager here is the name of the resource that you have created, which is your project folder. And I'm associating that to the one that I created locally on my PC, which is this task manager.
Okay.
Do you see that?
I see.
Yeah. So that is what this entire URL means. That is why we did the introduction to the web. If you don't understand those key terminologies, then you'll be a bit lost when we get here. Do you understand?
Okay, I see what you mean.
All right. I hope it's coming together beautifully now. All right. So let's continue. We have a lot of grounds to cover. Okay. So sorry, let's go on mute. Freddie, please unmute. Whilst Freddie unmutes, I am going to the chat to see. Okay.
Okay. I'm on the right track there. On GitHub, I'm thoroughly on the right track. What you're doing is what I'm seeing here. But okay. I'm a bit confused on your notepad. That notepad and whatever that you wrote there. I don't understand. What is the application for that? Is it a general notepad or is it Google?
Oh, this notepad? This notepad? Yeah. Oh, are you what's Freddie? What are you said you're using Windows 8, right?
Yes.
Yes, you should have a notepad on your PC. It's an application that is installed on your Windows PC.
Oh, okay, no problem. So
yes.
I'm worried about the notes that you're compiling there.
Okay.
Could we somehow have access over them? Maybe just to refer back and all.
So last week I shared the one at the top here with you on the announcement channel. So let me give you that. And then today as well, whatever note that we compile, I will share that with you. But it is not holistic, okay? It is just a way for me to explain some of the concepts to you. Okay.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
So that you actually follow, but it is just a starting point where you can actually do more research by yourself. So I have shared the link with you guys on the chat, right, to the previous one.
Great stuff. Sure, thanks.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so now we have this, but I want us to understand a couple of things. Do we have? Oh wait, there was a question from Victor that says, since GitHub is online storage, what is the storage capacity for a particular account? Is it unlimited? To the best of my knowledge, it's unlimited. Okay, so you can use it as much as you want. Okay, someone says, do we have to remake what you are doing or you are just explaining? So if you want to follow, I would advise you to just follow what I'm doing. It is a way for you to actually practice so that when you get to the actual task on the internet, you don't find yourself wanting. Okay, because you're going to be doing the same thing on the intranet, but just with a little change in terms of the naming. Okay, so mine is asking me to choose alliances. Wow. Okay, so it should be free, Steven. It should be free. So what I'll do is, I don't know what challenge you're having, but let's finish the session, Steven, and then reach out to me, or I'll have Blessing reach out to you on the side, and then we'll just take you through and then see how we can help you resolve that. Okay, but GitHub is free. You don't pay for it. Great. So now what we have here is an interface, guys. It is an interface. This is a web interface. This is what we are going to be building in the coming weeks. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We are going to be building similar things in the coming weeks. Okay. So this is what we call the web interface. But this is also a tool that has been built for us, and we need to understand a couple of things in here in order to aid us. Okay. Help us to understand what we need to do. So now we have this, you see something here called a branch. So you see main, you see whatever, you see the README file here, okay? You can actually click on go to file, it will take you to the file, you see that? You can add a file here, okay? You can create a new file. So I'm going to create a new file and call this task, okay? And then I'm going to just say sample files. All right, and I'm going to commit changes, and I'm going to say commit changes, and then now you see that file has been created in here. Okay, I can do anything. I can add another file. This time I'm going to create a JavaScript file, so I'm going to create an index.js file. Okay, And then in here, I'm just going to write console.log. Don't worry so much about this. It's just content, okay? And I'm going to write hello world, okay? And I'm going to commit changes, and I'm going to commit, and then it's created. So you see, just like I would have done, okay, Eric, I'm going to slow down. Like I would have done on my local PC. I am doing all these things on the internet using GitHub. I have created a project for directory on GitHub, and I'm actually using this. Now comes the next question. Can I have access to this project file that I have created on my local PC? And yes, that is where Git comes in, okay? That is where Git comes in. So now, okay, Jamal says I should repeat. Okay, good. So what I said was, my screen has gone blank. Hi, Obed, I see you here. Obed, can you see my screen? Let me put Blessing, if you are here, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, guys. All right, Amanda says they can see. Let's say go, maybe you need to check your network, okay? All right, hi, Kwame.
Hello.
Hi,
sorry, I sent a message asking when you read the description for the repository you were creating, it sounded as if this repository is supposed to be under another repository.
It sounded as if this repository is supposed to be another repository. Is that your question?
Because I think when you were reading the intranet screen you showed us, there was another repository and then another repository.
Okay, so when you mean this, right?
Yes.
So yes, good question. So in this question, it asks you to create a repository, right? But you're going to create our parent repository is going to be ALX precourse, and then under this we are going to have this folder in this repository. So I'm going to show you that in a second, okay? How you can go about that. So let's actually do that, okay? All right, I'm going to show you that in a second, don't worry. All right. So let me just go back to, Jamal? Jamal says I should repeat. So Jamal, what we've done here is we've leveraged on GitHub to actually create our project folder, okay? And I guess you remember how we did that. But in here, we can actually do a whole lot of stuff, okay? We can create any file that we want in here. Okay, so one thing that we can do is we can go to the file, or we can add a file here. You see, I can create a new file like this. Okay, let's say this time I'm going to create an index.html file. At the top here, you can see that here. Okay, then I'm going to write a simple HTML code here. Let's just do this, HTML, like this, and then I'm going to have my head. Sorry. We're going to do all of this soon, okay? And then I'm going to have my body here like this. And then I'm going to have an H1 tag in here that says hello world, okay? Like this. So now this is a file that I've created over the internet. Let me just add a title here. And I'm going to put Jamal in here, okay? Like this. Now, I have created a file, an HTML file, and I've actually written some code, HTML code in there. If I want to save this file, I need to commit the changes, okay? Don't worry so much. We're going to look at commits very soon. And then not to do anything, I'll just click on commit changes, and it's going to save that file here as index.html. I can actually see the file by clicking on it, and it will actually show me the file that I have in here. Okay, so there's so many things that I can do. I can edit the files in here. I can even upload a file, okay? I can upload files. So I can click here, choose the file that I want to upload. Let's pick any random file. Let's use this here, open, okay? And it's going to upload, you see that? And once it's uploaded here, I'm just going to commit, which is going to save, okay? Processing, this may take a few minutes, and it's done, and you can see that in here, okay? Romeo says they are lost. Okay. Romeo, which part are you lost? Okay, so I'm going to slow down a bit here. Okay, so all these things you can do on Git. Okay, but now the question comes, can I have a local copy of this on my PC so that I use it? Can I, in one way or the other, because working on the web, Victor, it's just you clicking on this particular icon that says add file. Okay, then you go to upload folders. Okay, then down here you can just click on choose files. It will open this file chooser for you. Select any file that you want to add. Okay, so in this case I'm going to add I just want a different file that is not too big. Let's go. Let's use Medred. Okay, and I'm going to click open. If I click on it, if you look down here, it is going to upload, and you can see the file uploaded here, right? Once I'm done, I am not going to type anything. I'm just going to click on commit changes. Okay, commit changes, and it's going to commit processing your files. This may take a few minutes, and once it's done, you see that file in here. Okay, great. So this is everything about Git that you need to know, GitHub. But then the question arises, Priscilla, hi Priscilla.
Yes, please, is adding the file the same as adding a folder?
Okay, so folders are files, but we are not going to go into that, okay? But for your sake, files are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, text file, Word files, Excel files. Those are the files. Folders are like when you create a folder, right? Like you create a cabinet of some sort that can store multiple files. Okay, so like we have assets, images, videos, JS. You see, these ones don't have any extensions. Okay, so those are folders. So if you're uploading a file, you're basically uploading a single file, but if you want to upload a folder, you can upload a folder as well. Okay, great. So let's continue. So this is just one part of it, guys. This is going to serve as a good segue to actually start to explain what Git is. And that was what we're going to do in a second. Okay, so Git. So GitHub is an online repository that allows you to store and manage your source code or your project folders, okay? Your source code is any lines of code that you write for your software, okay? Git, on the other hand, is not an online repository. It is a version control system, okay? A version control system. So then what is actually a version control system? Okay, it is a software that has been designed to actually allow you to manage your source code locally on your PC. It allows you to keep multiple versions of that same software on your local device. It also allows you to be able to work collaboratively with other team members on a particular project folder. It allows you to be able to actually reverse back in time to a particular commit or version of your software that was actually working should something go wrong. So Git is a software, it's a version control software. GitHub is an online repository. Okay, these are the key differences. Hi, Richard. Richard, you want to say anything?
Sorry, please. Sorry.
That's fine, but do you understand what I'm saying, Richard?
Yes, please.
All right. So Git is a version control system, and it's a software. You need to install Git on your PC in order for you to be able to actually use it. But for GitHub, you don't need to install GitHub on your PC. Yes, there is a GitHub desktop that you can use, but that is just an add-on to the web interface. But Git by itself is a version control system. Now, to understand Git, there are a couple of things that we need to know. We need to know these terms: clone. We need to know add. We need to know commit. We need to know pull. We need to know push. And then these are the basic ones. So status, we also need to know status, okay? And so on. Now, we are not going to look at the CLI version of this. We are going to look at the GUI version of Git, okay? So Git can be interfaced with in so many ways. There's the CLI version, and then there is the GUI version. So we are going to look entirely at Git using the GUI version, okay? Now, the GUI version, for you to get the GUI version, you need to have VS Code installed, okay? For this particular tutorial, I'm going to use the VS Code. Now, there's a CLI version, which we are not going to get into it, okay? But they all, regardless of the CLI or GUI, these are all applicable. These terms are all applicable. We need to know what they mean and how we can use them in our project, okay? So we are going to take a look at this, but we are going to use it in Visual Studio Code. But first of all, if this is your first time ever encountering Git, you would have to install Git, okay? Once again, Git is the version control system, and it is the software that allows you to manage your source code. And then GitHub is the online repository that allows you to store a copy of your project or source code remotely on a server or in the cloud, okay? So Git, for you to get Git, you need to first of all download and install Git on your PC. How then do we do that, okay? Download and install Git. So to download Git, first of all, we need to go to google.com. I'm not going to take you directly to the website because I need you to know that whenever you go to Google, if you're looking for anything whatsoever, you can actually go to Google and then find it there. Hi, Emas. All right, Emas.
I have a question that what differentiates Git from Azure and like Bitbucket or like something like that?
Okay, so your question is what differentiates Git from Bitbucket and so on, right?
Yes, yes.
So Bitbucket as well is an online repository. Okay, there is not only one online repository. There are a lot of them. GitHub is one of them. Bitbucket is another one of them. They all can be used in collaboration with Git. Git is the software that actually allows you to do the version control locally on your local device. Okay, Bitbucket and GitHub are all online repositories. Is that okay, Emas?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you as well. Okay, all right, great. So to download and install Git, okay, you need your browser. So let's go back to our browser. I'm going to open a new tab, and in my address bar, I'm going to type google.com, okay? Then in here, I'm going to type download Git, not GitHub, Git. Now, this will give you a bunch of results, okay? You are looking at the first results or outputs, okay? In here, it gives you the official website of Git, okay? So when you click on this, it is going to take you to the official website where you can download Git for either macOS, Linux or Unix, or Windows. In my case, I'm doing this presentation using a Windows PC. So I will click on Windows, okay? Then in here, you can click here to download the latest 64-bit version of Git for Windows, right? This is the most recent maintained build. It was released last 2 months on 22nd 0830, right? I can choose this, or I can choose to click here to download that, or other Git for Windows download. So in the case of Freddy, maybe if Freddy's PC was a 32-bit architecture, he could have clicked on this 32-bit Git for Windows setup. If not, if you're using a 64-bit, you can also click on this, okay, to get Git. So these two, or you click on this. So I'm going to click on the first one here, and then this is going to allow a download, okay? It's going to download the binary file. This is the installer for Git, okay? So this is like 58.4 megabytes. So if you have a slow internet, you might have to take your time to actually download this. Whilst I wait for that to download, I'm going to the chat to see if there are any questions. There's no questions. Do you guys have any questions on this, or do you have anything that needs clarification on this particular one? on Git? Any question? Okay. So welcome Varsity. Hi, welcome Varsity. Do you have any question? Eric Anku, do you have any question? Hi, Priscilla, do you have any question?
No, please.
All right, Kwame, do you have any question?
No.
All right. Uzo, can you ask your question? Unmute and ask your question. Uzo, can you ask your question? All right. Samira, can you ask your question? Samira?
Hello, sir.
Hi, Uzo. Uzo, please hold on. Let Samira speak first and then you come in. Okay. Thank you very much. Hi, Samira.
Hey, Cole. Do we need Git and GitHub downloaded for today? Since I haven't downloaded it yet and it's very slow. My network is very slow to download it.
Okay, so
could you start this class?
So you only need you only need Git downloaded. Okay. For GitHub, please use the browser. Okay. Use the online version. So just download GitHub Git and follow the instructions that I just gave you here. So I'll go over it one more time. Okay. Before we.
But it's taking.
Yes. It will take. Yeah, it will take a while, but you'll be fine. Okay. So just follow the tutorial. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you as well. Hi, Uzo. Uzo, please unmute.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please. I can.
Okay. I want to ask, can Git and GitHub work on smartphones and iPads?
Okay. So I use GitHub application on my smartphone. So it would allow, yes, you can use GitHub on your smartphone, but I have never used Git on my smartphone because I don't use my smartphone for development. Okay, but you can download a GitHub application for your smartphone that would actually give you access to all the repositories that you create on GitHub.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you as well. Vivienne. Hi, Vivienne.
Hi. On Mac, it's not so direct as it is on Windows.
Okay, so I'm going to show you that in a second. Let's go back to downloads. So if you click on Mac, okay,
yeah.
So if you click on the Mac version, there are a couple of ways that you can download and install stuff on Mac. There's what we call Brew, okay. So first of all, you need to download Homebrew like this, okay, from here. Okay, the way you do that is you just go to this website, you go to Google, you search for Homebrew, and then you click the first one. Okay, then you copy this particular link here, go to your terminal, which is this, okay, like this, and then just paste it in here, and it will install Homebrew. After you've installed Homebrew, you can now come and then use this command to install Git. Okay. Alternatively, you can just click on this to take you to Brew to actually install Homebrew. Is that okay?
Okay, that's okay.
So now give it a shot, give it a try, Vivienne. If you have any challenges, reach out to me on Discord or Blessing. I will book a session with you and then we'll just go through how you'd actually install it. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, so I guess there's no more. Oh, Emas, do you still have a question? All right, I guess not. Okay, so now we know how we can. Okay, Emas, go on. Emas, go on.
Yeah, okay. Which one do you recommend us to use, like the GitHub or the UI interface from GitHub?
So please use the UI, the graphical user interface. Okay, that is what we are going to base our project on. And also, Vivienne, once you install Git, Vivienne, if you are using Mac, you already have Git installed on it. If you are using a Mac, you already have Git installed on it, so you don't even have to reinstall it. Okay, so you'll be fine. Yes, okay. If you are using a Mac, you already have Git installed on it. All right, so guys, I would recommend we all stick with the graphical user interface. So just make sure you have your Visual Studio Code ready for the session, okay? And you'll be fine. So now that we've downloaded, okay, with my GitHub installed, okay, so that's fine, it's been answered. So now that we've downloaded the Git, we can proceed to install it for Windows users by clicking on the installation, okay? Now we're going to give it a second, it's going to load up. It is going to give us the setup wizard, okay? So I'm going to select yes. And now I'm just going to follow these instructions to install, okay? You just read this information if you have the time. If not, you can just click on install, and then you just install Git on your PC. Great. So I already have it installed, so I'm not going to install it again. So I'm going to minimize this here, okay? Right, so now we've installed Git, okay? If you install Git, automatically your Visual Studio Code would identify it. In your Visual Studio Code, you have a couple of things. We've already gone through this, right? But let's go through it one more time. You have a couple of Emras. Please do not write on the screen. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, got it. Okay, so you have a couple of icons in your Visual Studio Code. One of which is the source control. Okay, so you have the Explorer here, which you can click on to open this particular folder for you, or this particular section. In here, you have two things that you can do. You can either open a folder, right, directly from your local PC, or you can clone a repository. So now, do you see the word clone here? Clone here, and then there's clone here. So you can clone a repository locally, okay? So what does it mean to clone? Okay, in Git, if you can create or download a copy of your project that you have in GitHub or Bitbucket or any other source control management repository online, you can create a local copy of it using the clone. So by cloning, you are creating or downloading a local copy of your project's folder / repository or repository onto your local host or device, okay? So that is what it means to clone. But for you to be able to clone, you need to understand a couple of things. Where are you going to clone? You need to know where on the cloud or on the internet or the web is the project that you want to clone. Where does it exist? So we actually look at that at the top here, right? So we have the URL here. So we'll come down here, and then this is the location or address of the repo, right? Repo here. So if we want to clone, we need to have this address. So where do we get this address? And I already showed you that a second ago, okay? That in your GitHub, once you've created the repository, you can actually copy the link from the address bar, or you can use this green button here, okay? When you click on this green button here, which is code, it allows you to actually copy the link to the repository. It could be an HTTPS, an SSH, or a GitHub CLI. But now, all we are focused on is the HTTPS, okay? So this link that you have here is the same thing that you have at the top here, okay? So that is where we have that. So we need to know the location of the project we want to clone. So let's try to clone this project now, okay? So I'm going to copy the URL. I'll come into my Visual Studio Code, okay? If you have your Visual Studio Code installed, all you need to do is just open a new, click on File, go to New Window, and it will open such a window for you, okay? If not, if you open it afresh, it should open something like this for you. Great. So now I'm going to click on Clone Repository and take note of the changes that happens when I interact with the UI, right? Or the interface, the Visual Studio Code interface. When I click on clone repository, to the top of the screen, you see there's a pop-up that tells me to provide a repository URL or pick a repository source. So I'm going to provide a URL at the top here by pasting, okay? So I'll exit and I'm going to take this one more time. Click on the Explorer. You have two options. You can open a folder or you can clone a repository. So if I'm going to clone a repository, I click on clone repository. I get this pop-up and I'm going to paste the URL from here or from my GitHub here, okay, into this particular pop-up. Now, once you paste in there, you get this particular command, clone from this URL. So I'm just going to click on it, and then now it's going to open a file chooser and it's asking me, where do I want to clone this project? So now I want to select anywhere on my PC where I'm going to clone this project. So now I'm going to open this same task manager, okay, and say that we should clone it in here. So I'm going to select as the repository destination. So I select this, and then it do down here at the right bottom, it tells me it's cloning. It clones and it tells me, would you like to open the clone repository? I'm going to say open, okay? I see your hands up, Freddie and Samira. I'm coming to you now. Okay, so let me just wrap up. So what you see now is everything that I have on my github.com now exists on my local PC. You can see that in here. Hi, Samira. Please ask your question. Hi, Samira. Hi.
VS Code. I'm not seeing all the options you've got here on the list.
Okay. So you can see the option to clone.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see the source? Do you see the source control?
Yeah.
Okay. If you click on the source control, what do you see? Do you see clone in there? So let's open a new window. Okay. So there's a new window here. Source. Do you see clone repository in the source, under the source?
Okay. Maybe it's because I haven't downloaded Git yet.
Git, yes. So please install the Git, okay?
Yeah. Even,
all right, thank you.
My Explorer page, when I enter my Explorer, I'm not seeing two options like yours. I'm only seeing one option.
Okay, so please install the Git and then let's take note of the changes, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Hi, Freddie.
Okay, I have the same problem, but I don't know. It's installed. It's only giving me open folder when I open click the Explorer.
So have you installed your Git?
Yeah, Git is there.
Okay, have you installed your Visual Studio Code?
Yes.
Okay, so close the Visual Studio Code and open it again. Let's see. Okay.
Okay, let me close it.
Yeah. All right. So whilst I wait for you to do that, because of time, please let me just continue and then tackle the other concepts. Okay. So if you have any questions or any issues at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Blessing and we'll assist you. Okay. All right. Hi, Priscilla.
Yeah, so after selecting what to clone, it's asking choose a folder to clone.
Yes.
So if you don't have maybe that name saved, okay.
Okay, so Priscilla, so let's go over that. So I'm going to click on new. I'm going to clone it again, okay? So following what you are also doing, hi Priscilla, you can unmute. We are going to go to source control. Hi Priscilla.
Yes.
Did you answer yourself in the process?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, so I'm either going to click on the File Explorer or I'm going to click on source control, right? Then I'm going to click on clone repository, Priscilla. Okay. Now it's going to give me this pop-up and I'm going to paste this URL here and then click clone, right? Now this is what you got, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now from here, you have to select any place on your PC where you want the repository to reside. So for me, I'm going to choose documents, okay? Okay, and now for this second one, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call this Priscilla, okay? So now I have a new folder called Priscilla, okay? And I'm going to double click to open it. And I'm now going to select as the repository destination. So once you have a place where you want the repository to reside, you just click on select repository as a destination and it's going to clone the project in there. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Once you do
Yes,
that, it will
please.
ask
Thank
you, would you like to open open the clone repository? You can open or you open in a new window. Okay. So for me, I don't want to open it, so I'm just going to ignore it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you very
All right. Great. All right. Anyone else? Now, so we're going to take a hard pause on this, okay? We're going to take a hard pause up to this point, and then we'll go back to GitHub. Now, you realize that when I was cloning this repository, okay, when I was cloning this repository, I used this direct link to clone the repository. And you remember what I said about the public visibility? You can actually have access to the repository, but you cannot contribute to the repository. So under GitHub, there's something called PAT, which is Personal Access Token, okay? So I'm going to write that here, PAT, okay, which is Personal Access Token. Now, what is the Personal Access Token? This Personal Access Token is a unique set of characters that will be generated uniquely for you. That will allow you to be able to actually clone your projects and then be able to also push to that project or contribute to that project. Now, we're going to see push in a second, as we can see here, okay? But we need to understand Personal Access Token. If you come to the project that is on GitHub, on the intranet, you realize under tax 0, we ask you to actually create a GitHub account and then create a Personal Access Token. So then I want us to look at what the Personal Access Token is and how we can create it. So as I said is what a Personal Access Token is, a unique set of characters that is generated specifically for you. There can be 2 Personal Access Tokens, okay? There'll always be a unique Personal Access Token just for you. Now, with the help of this Personal Access Token, you will be able to authenticate yourself on GitHub without having to actually log in, okay? It is a form of authentication, okay? So you need a Personal Access Token. But how then do you get a Personal Access Token? So on this call, we are going to generate a Personal Access Token again, a Personal Access Token, and then we are going to clone the project again. Now we have cloned the first one here, but we're going to clone it again using the Personal Access Token. But I am glad that we've already gone through all these important concepts before coming to the Personal Access Token. So at this point, I'm going back to my GitHub here. And under the GitHub, I'm going to make this screen bigger. Under your GitHub, okay, to your far right, where you see either the abbreviations of your initials, your name or your initials, or this icon, if you click on it, it will give you this particular pop-up, okay? Scroll down to the portion that says settings, okay? You click on settings, then it brings you to this page. Now, on this page, you can manage a couple of things, but our key focus here is under developer settings. To get that, you need to scroll down to the bottom of the page to see developer settings to the far left. Click on it. Okay, I think someone is unmuted. All right, so let's continue. If you click on it, it should bring you to this page where you have the opportunity to actually select either an OAuth apps, right, or a Personal Access Token. Okay, so click on Personal Access Token and then click on tokens to actually bring you to this point. I'm going to take that one more time. On your GitHub page, to your far right, click on this icon, scroll down to the bottom of it and look for settings. If you click on this settings, it will take you to this page where you can manage a couple of things. Scroll down again and look for the developer settings, okay? Click on developer settings and it brings you to this page. Now, under the Personal Access Tokens, select Token Classic. This here, and it brings you to this page. All this has been outlined in this particular project, okay? After you are done creating and updating, creating your GitHub account and updating your profile, you need to create a personal access token, okay? And to create your personal access token, we've given you this tutorial to actually follow. But you don't need this tutorial if you understand what I'm doing here, okay? So once again, we're going to take this one more time. On your desktop, on your GitHub interface, you click on this icon here, scroll down to settings, okay? Then on the settings page where you can manage your name and other things, okay, just click on developer settings. Then under the developer settings, click on personal access token and then token classic, okay? This will allow you to generate a couple of tokens. Now to generate the token, simply click on generate new token and then generate new token classic, okay? This will bring us to this page. Give it any random name. So I'm going to call this ALX C1 token, okay? Not token, that's token. Then you can set an expiration date. So you can select 7 days, 60 days, 90 days, and so on, right? Or even no expiration. I would advise you always select an expiration date, okay? So I'm going to select 60 days. Then at the top here, I'm just going to check this box, and that is all, okay? Then scroll down to the bottom and click on generate token. Hi, let's go.
Hi, Cole. So when I click on, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, when I get to the personal access token classic there, when I try generate it says generate a personal access token, right? But because I've got GitHub on my phone, it says when your phone is ready, click the button below, use GitHub mobile, and then it gives me a number. I have to authenticate through my phone. So I wanted to ask, is that the way that you're doing it now is quite different? If I don't have my phone,
it is the same. What you have done is you've activated a two-factor authentication. Okay. So anytime because generating the personal access token is very confidential. So before you can generate the personal access token, they want you to authenticate on your phone to confirm if you are the right person trying to generate the access token. Okay. So once you do that authentication, it will basically bring you to this point and then you'll be good to go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to click on generate token now. And now I have the token generated. You can see those unique characters generated in here. You need to copy this because you're going to see it only once. Once you refresh this page, you are no longer going to see this thing again. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to copy this and then save it in my notepad here. Okay. Here. Okay. So now that I have this, okay, I am just going to refresh my page for you to see. And now you see it's gone. It's lost forever. You wouldn't get that code again. So you always have to copy it and then save it somewhere secure. Somewhere you feel that it's secure. Okay. Great. So now we have a personal access token. We're going back here. Then I'm going to search for the repository that I created, which is Task Manager. Okay, I see that here. Okay. So now, under this Task Manager, I'm going to clone this Task Manager again. This time I'm going to clone it using my personal access token. Okay. So I'll minimize this. And then from my Visual Studio Code, I'm going to click on File, New Window. Okay. So I'm going to clone that project in here again. Okay, so let's minimize this and let's keep this one here. All right, good. So we have our personal access token, but how then do we utilize our personal access token? We have a good understanding of this URL. So I'm just going to add a little tweak to it. Please hold on, Eric and Priscilla. A little tweak to it. I'm just going to copy this personal access token, come to the URL that you already know and are familiar with. At the beginning of github.com, I'm going to paste this personal access token here and then put an @ at this portion. That is all I need to do, okay? So I'm going to paste this particular personal access token with an @ right in front of the github.com, and that is it. I have now changed the location, right? Or I have now added an extra layer of authorization access to the location or the address. This is my personal access token. So this will be used to authenticate me anytime that I want to do anything on that particular repository. Priscilla, please ask your question.
Creating the personal access token and asking to select some scopes. I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it.
Yes, I did mention it. Maybe you might have missed it. So I asked to just check the first one, okay? So I'm going to do it again. Settings, okay? And then scroll down to developer settings, then go to personal access token, token classic, and then I'm going to generate new token. I'm moving a bit fast because I've already done all of this. Generate new token, give it a random name, and then you just check this one, okay? Just check the first one.
Okay.
All right, Priscilla, and then scroll down and then generate token, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Great. So now, with the URL, what you see is I have modified my URL slightly, and this is what you're going to do every single time. You need to generate your personal access token and add it to the original URL to be able to actually clone and then make push to your GitHub, okay? Your GitHub repository. So now we're going to clone again. So I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to go to either File Explorer or Source Control. I'll click on Clone Repository, and I'm going to paste this one in here. Click on Clone from URL. And then once again, I'm going to create a new, I'm going to Desktop, and I'm going to create a new folder here. This one, I'm going to call this one Victor. Okay, so let's click on New Folder. I'll call this one Victor. Okay. And then I'm just going to say, select Victor as my destination. It's going to clone. And now it's done cloning, so I'll click on Open. And you see it does the same thing. There's only a little difference. The first one that we did only had the URL. And if you only clone your repository using this URL, you're going to have some challenges. So please generate your personal access token, okay? And then use that in conjunction with your URL to actually clone your project. Hi, Lesogo.
Hi, Cole. I lost you a bit there because you were moving too fast.
Okay, so let's go. You can always rewatch the session, okay? So please, just so we can complete the entire thing here within the set period, I am still going to leave room for some questions, okay? So I want to actually complete these major commands here, and then you can ask any other question. Is that okay?
Okay, cool. All right.
All right, thank you. So guys, we have looked at how we can clone our repository. We can literally clone a repository. So cloning a repository means you are downloading a local copy of your project folder or your repository onto your local device. And now I do have that. Now, the next thing is to check the status. How do I know status? What is the status? Now, remember when I said Git is a version control system that allows you to manage your source code? What it means is that once you have Git initialized in your project repository, it actually keeps track of every single change that you make. So now, if you click on the source control, you should see something like this, similar to this, okay? Now, I am going to my file, and I'm going to add a P tag here, and say some content, okay, like this. Now, the very moment I save some content, you realize under the source control, you see changes here. Git is going to keep track of every single change that you make to your project files. So in this case, my project files are the task, the README, Mildred's PDF, index.js, index.html, and academic reference. Okay, these are my project files. Every single change that I make, Git is actually going to keep track of it. Let's try it again. In my index.js file, I am going to create a variable, and call this name, and then I'm just going to assign this my name. Okay, don't worry if you don't understand what I'm doing, it's fine. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a console.log and say howdy, and then I'm going to do comma and then name, right? Like this. Okay. The very moment I do this, you can see to my far left, you can see this green thing here. If I go to the index.html, you can see the same thing here. But look at this. If I delete this thing from that, you see, I delete the title, you see a red tab comes here. Every single change that you make to your project folder or your code, Git is keeping track of it. So if I add another paragraph tag here and say another awesome content, okay, like this, you see this green bar, right? Git is actually keeping track of all the changes. So let's bring back our title and say new title, okay? Like this. Sorry if I can type. Sorry, my hands are freezing. All right. So every single thing that you do, you can see Git keeping track of it. And you can see that with this green and red bar that I'm showing you. But also, under the resources, you can see that every file that you change will be listed under changes. Okay? Now, this is telling you that Git is actually keeping track of all the changes that you are making. So in this case, I can actually see the changes that I've made, okay? I can actually see the changes that I've made in here, all right? Or the files that I've made changes to, okay? So now look at this. If I click on this particular icon, which is open file, it is going to show me the original file and then the new change that I made. But let's put a pin in that, okay? Let's hold on for now. And let's look at this. So this is what you are looking at, right? This changes any single file that you create. So if I create a new file here, and now I'm going to call the styles.css, and I'm just going to say everything should have a font size of 20 pixels, okay? And I save. If I come to the source control, you see the styles.css is listed here. So now we are going to compare this to what we have on GitHub, okay? So if we come to GitHub, I'm going to go to search. I'm going to search for my task manager. I have that here, okay? And the task manager, if you look at the HTML, it is only this content that I have. But in my local file, I have added some content and even changed this one to not me, new title, right? So these are two different things. Git allows me to work on the local copy of the project file without actually affecting the remote one, okay? So this is how you see the status, right? In here, when you click on this source control, the status allows you to see the files that you've changed and the changes that you are making, okay, with respect to that particular file. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? Okay, no questions. So I guess everybody understands. So now that we understand what the status does, let's go to the add. What does it mean to add? In as much as Git is keeping track of all the changes that you are making, you can also say that, hey, you know what? I have completed working on this particular file, so I want to add these changes that I've made to my staging area. Okay, so when I talk about add, we are talking about staging. Okay, and what is your staging area? Your staging area is basically saying that it's like, think of your staging area as a box. Okay, so let me give you a scenario. You are moving from your current place to another place. Okay, and in doing so, you have a couple of things that you want to pack, right? You have some clothes, you have some shoes, you have some utensils that you want to pack and move to your new place. The staging area will be the box in which you're going to put your utensils and stuff in there. Okay, so when you add these files to the staging area, you've actually added this to that the box to actually ship. Okay, ship to your new place, or which will be in this case GitHub. So then how do we add changes? Okay, we can choose to add individual files, or add all the files at once. Using Visual Studio Code, we can do that by just clicking on this, the add stage changes, right? So this plus button that appears to the far right of the file that you're working on, you can click on that, or under the changes, right? Under this particular tab, changes, you can click this add to stage all the files that you are working on to the staging area. Once again, I'm going to take that one more time. If you have a file, you've done some changes in that file, and you want to add this to the staging area, you can choose to add independent file or single files or all the files together. If you want to add single files, you just move to the file that you want to add. To the far right, you see this add button, and then you click on it. It will add it to the staged area. You can see stage changes, right? You can also remove it from the staging area by clicking on this minus, right? And it brings it back to this. Okay, so if you want to add all of them as well, you just go to this, and at this tab, the changes tab, and click on this plus, and it will add all of it to the staging area. So now you can see the changes section has nothing, but the staged has everything. So now that we've staged it, we need to commit, okay? Commit. So committing means you need to add some kind of description, some kind of tag to the, so still think of the box. So now that you have your box and you've packed, let's say your cloth in the box and you've covered the box, you want to label that box as cloth or maybe casual wears, right? So that when the movers are moving your stuff, they know that that particular box is a casual wear box, or let's say it's fragile, so they don't actually manhandle it, right? So to do that, hi Jamal, please Jamal, you are moving on the screen. Please stop. All right, great, thank you. All right, so now that we've added everything to the staging area, we now have to commit. So this commit is what we call a commit message, okay? So I'm going to add a commit message and say, don't worry, Jamal, first commit, okay? This is a tag. Now, once you do this, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to push, okay? You're going to push. So let me just actually push to the top before I come to pull, all right? Right. So to commit this, you have two ways you can do that. You can actually click on this commit, and it's going to commit it, or you can click on the arrow down here and then come to commit and push. Okay, so I'm going to take it one more time. For the staging, Kenneth, I'm going to take the staging one more time, okay? So we have these files in our project folder, right? Index.js, index.html, and so on. We add some changes, okay? So I'm going to add a change here. I'm going to click the span and say Kenneth Joseph is a cool programmer, okay? Program. So I have made a change, right? I have made a change to this file. Now, if you come to the source section, you should see that change in here and the changes, okay? Now, because we see that change in here, we want to stage it. We want to move this particular change that we've added to our staging area. And then I used an analogy saying that, imagine that for you to understand staging, imagine you are moving from your house to a new place, okay? You have a couple of things in your house, including your cloth, your utensils, your shoes, and so on, right? So you have a box, and in that box, you can put your shoes, you can put your cloth, because you don't want to mix them. So you put your shoes in the box, right? That box is your staging area. The shoes that you are putting in the box are the file that you've changed. So once you put the shoes in the box and then you cover it, you have staged those shoes or those files, right? Then to commit it is to label the box, okay? When you label the box, right, is when you're committing. So commit, right? So that is what I said. Yes, we're going to add this one as well. And then now we're going to commit, okay? So I said you have two ways you can commit. You can click on this, and this will actually commit. So it has committed, and you can see there's nothing here because I have said that this is ready to be shipped, okay? Once I commit, right, I can click on this, the three icons at the top here, come to pull or push, and then click push, okay? If I click on push, it is going to synchronize. Because of the way I did this, okay, I'm not going to have any challenge. Please, if you do not clone using this particular approach, you're going to have challenges. So now those changes that we made has been pushed. What does it mean to push? It has been synchronized with the remote version, okay, or repository. So every single change that I've made locally here should be on my GitHub now. So now let's go to GitHub, and now all we're going to do is just refresh our page here. If I refresh my page, now you can see every single change that I made is now on GitHub. You see that? If I go to index.js, you see every single change that I made by adding to the staging area, committing, and then pushing. I have actually moved the files from my local PC to GitHub. Now, we are going to discuss pull later, okay? So I'm going to take pull out of this. We're going to discuss it later. But these are the basic commands that you need. And these are the basic actions that you need. Any questions up until this point? Any questions? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to, hi Kwame, I'm going to go to the projects on the intranet, and I'm going to walk you through how you can actually approach the very first one. I'm not going to use the exact same names. Hi Kwame, please come in. Hi Kwame.
I was joining attention to when you said you wanted to work on the
Okay, all right. So this is how you're going to approach projects, okay? Every single project that you're going to do on the intranet, you will have to synchronize that particular project to your GitHub, which means for every project that you work on, you are going to create a GitHub repository. So by doing this all throughout this 4 months, you will now become a master in creating repositories on GitHub and actually updating and modifying those repositories, okay? The very first task here, I've actually helped you to do it. And it's just basically asking you to set up your personal access token, set up your GitHub account, update your profile with your GitHub account, and then clone, right? But with this clone, you are not going to use this approach. You are just going to use the approach that I taught you, okay? I just taught you. You don't need to do all of these things, okay? You're just going to use the approach that I taught you. So we're going to say, do this, okay? So the first thing that you need to look at whenever you are tackling a project on the intranet is this part of it, the repo, how you're going to submit it. Now, this is what is required of you, a GitHub repository named ALX-precourse. So let's go ahead and create that, okay? So I'm going to bring this here. Let's minimize this. Let's minimize that. Let's minimize this as well. Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this one here, and I'm going to bring this one here, okay? So on my, let's make this one a bit bigger, okay. On my GitHub, that I presume everybody has, it is telling me to create a Git, I'm not going to read all this because it's a lot, okay? But I'm going to do this. It's telling me to create a new directory called 0x01-git in my ALX precourse. Now look at this. This is because the first task has already told you what to do, okay? So I'm going to create a GitHub repository here. So I click on this new, and then I'm going to copy this name here, ALX-precourse, and I'm going to paste it in this thing. Now, the first thing you see here is tells me that the repository ALX-precourse already exists on my account. So it is not going to allow me, right? So I'm just going to add another name called a clone. Okay, so now for my project, not for you, okay, for the sake of this tutorial, I am creating a new GitHub repository called this, right? I mean, I guess since I'm here, let's just do this one. Let's read this. So the first one is to create an account. The second one is to create a personal access token, which you've done. The third one is to update your profile, which you've done. Now we need to create our first repository, right? So using the graphical user interface on GitHub, the GitHub website, which is this, we are going to create a new first repository. So that is what I just did. So new, And then now the name of the repository is going to be ALX-precourse. So I'm going to put that here. It doesn't exist, so I'm going to add this to it. Okay. Now I'm going to add a description. It says I am now a student of ALX. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add this to my description. Okay. Now this has to be a public repository. So it is not private, it's going to be public. Now I should add no readme and get ignore. So I'm going to ignore these two, right? So once I'm done with this, I'm going to click on create repository and it's going to create the repository for me. Now the repository has been created, right? So let's click on code. Okay, and then now we're here. So since we're here, it's telling me you don't have to open your sandbox. Okay, so hi.
No, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. Yeah.
Sorry, someone is talking. Please mute yourself. All right. So now you don't have to open your sandbox, but we are going to clone the repository. Okay. So how do we clone the repository? I'm going to copy the URL here, and then I'll go to my notepad and I'm going to paste that URL here. Okay. Then I'm going to take my personal access token, the one that I generated, copy it, and then add it to this, just as we did. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this entire thing. Then I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to open a new one, file, new window, minimize this here. Now in my Visual Studio Code, I'm going to click on File Explorer or the source control. Okay. Then I'll click on clone repository. And then in this here, I'm just going to paste the code that the URL that I just formed. Okay. Now, once I click on clone, it's going to bring me here. I'll go to document and I'm going to create a file folder here. Okay, new, I'm going to call this ALX3. Just be ALX3. Select this and then select this as my destination repository. So now I'm just going to open it and I have this one created here. So now let's go back to the task. What does the task say? So we've cloned the repository. Okay, we need to create a README and push the modification, right? So let's come back here. Create a readme.md file. So I'm going to copy this here. And then let's go back to my VS Code, open this, come here a bit. Okay. I'm going to create a new file. So you remember what we did from our Visual Studio Code? I'll click on new file, and then paste this here and then enter. Now I've created a README file. It has to have the contents, my first README. I'm going to paste this one here. And then what do? I need to now push, right? So you can ignore all these ones if you set up your Git properly on your local PC. You can ignore all these. If not, please use this to actually set up your configuration. Now we're going to add, right? We're going to commit. So I'm going to save this. We're going to ignore all of these things here. Okay. Go to our source. We see our changes. I'm going to add this to my staging area. Now I'm going to add a commit, and the commit message will be what? Let's say my first commit. Okay, my first commit. Now I'm going to commit. I can click on this to commit as well. Now that I've committed, I need to push. Okay, push the changes. So I come here and I click on push. Okay, so now this is going to push, and it has pushed to GitHub. So I go back to GitHub. And at this, I'm just going to refresh the page. And then now you can see my first README exists in here. Okay, great. So now I've done the first task. What did I do? I just followed the instructions. The second one is just telling you to create a new directory in this. Okay, so everything will be done on your local PC. And then once you are done, you follow the same instructions to actually push to GitHub. Any questions up until this point? All right, so I guess everybody understands. I am not going to solve the project for you. You are going to figure out the rest for yourself. Okay. Okay, Jamal says I should repeat. All right, Jamal. Jamal, can you unmute? Can you unmute? Hi, Jamal. Can you unmute?
Hi.
Hi, Jamal. All right, which part is confusing to you? Hi, Emma, please hold on. Hi, Jamal, which part is confusing? Hi, Jamal.
I feel
Hi.
I lost the task in Alex.
Okay, the last one. Is it this part?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, do you understand the way we cloned the repository? Hi,
Yes.
Jamal. Do you
Yes.
understand the way?
Yes.
Do you understand the way we created a file? So for your sake, I'm going to create a new file here. So I'll call this Jamal. Okay. So I've created a new file here, Jamal, and I'm going to add Jamal is cool, right? So because you're cool. Do you understand this part?
Yes, I understand.
So the next thing I want to do is I want to actually see the changes that I've made. So I go to source control. Okay, then I can see the changes that I've made.
Okay.
Is that okay? Then now I'm going to add this to the staging area. So I can actually use this plus, or I can use this one. Okay. If I use this add here, I'm going to just add Jamal. But if I use the one at the top, I'm going to add all the changes. So I'm going to add this one here, and this has been added to the staging area. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So now that it's at the staging area, I'm going to add I'm going to add a commit, and then using this box here, I'm just going to type second commit for Jamal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm just going to click on commit here, and then it's going to commit. Once it's done committing, it's left with one more step, which is to push. Okay. So I click on these 3 dots here, and I click on push. Do you see that?
Yes, I see.
Does it make sense? So now if we go back to GitHub and then we refresh, you see Jamal is not here, but if we refresh the page, we should now see Jamal down here.
Yes.
You see Jamal? Does it make sense now?
Yes, I understand now. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you as well, Jamal. Hi, Kwame.
Sorry again. When the second step, which you are not going to do, it says like create another repo into the ALX.
Okay, so this is where you are. So this is where you're having a confusion, right? It says create a new. It says create a new directory in your ALX repo. So if you come here, okay, if you come to your project folder that you've cloned, you can create a new directory here called 0x01 like this. Okay, click on this, create this, and you have created it. Do you see that? Hi,
yes,
Kwame.
but then the sub box is not picking. When I checked the testing of the code, it was invalid using the intranet.
When you checked what? Come again?
Yeah, using the intranet, I tried validating it, and then it was like I couldn't find the.
Kwame, what's your email address?
Owusu Upon Emmanuel.
Owusu what?
Upon Emmanuel.
Upon, okay.
Emmanuel.
Okay, so hold on, let me show you something. So Emmanuel Upon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is this what you are getting?
Yes, when I try that.
Yeah, that is because I don't think you've even created the ALX-free course.
Because I've deleted everything right now.
Yeah, so you have to create it on GitHub, just as we've done. You have to clone it locally, okay, and then before you push it. Do you understand?
Yeah, you have to create it, but I've deleted them.
You've created it on GitHub.
Yeah, I did create on GitHub. I passed the first.
What is your GitHub name? What is your GitHub username?
Like I'm saying, I've deleted even the things I created on GitHub.
You've deleted it, so we don't see it.
Yeah, I've deleted it. I only have now. Yeah, so
okay.
I'll do it.
Okay, so please do it again. Follow the instructions that I've given you, okay, and you'll be fine. Okay, all right. Okay. Hi, Amas.
Okay. What will happen if I do not clone the repo without using the part key, and if I only repo it with the URL? What will happen?
So I'm going to show you that in a second. So you see, this is my VS Code, and you remember this one? I think this one here, we did clone this without the personal access token, right? So I'm going to make some changes here. Say, no, let's use this one here, HTML. Let's say a mass is creative. Okay. So now I've made this change. Let's say this. And this here, I'm now going to stage this. Okay. I want you to see something. I'm going to write first commit. Okay. Now I'm going to commit. Now I'm going to push. Look at this, right? I'm going to push, right? When I try pushing, I'll get this error. Fail to authenticate to get remote. Do you see that?
Okay, so I have to config my Git, all right?
So no, so you need to clone with your personal access token like this.
Okay, all right.
So now, don't worry. In an event where you've already done this, okay, you can actually do this, okay? You can come to source control, okay? Click on these 3 dots, right? And then click on remote, okay? Like this. Then click on add remote, and the add remote, actually, let me just first of all remove remote, right? I'm going to remove this remote, okay? Then now I'm going to replace that with this one here. So file, these 3 dots, come to remote, add remote, and now I'm going to add this remote, okay? Add remote. Then the remote name will be origin, type origin here, okay? And then enter, and then that is it, okay? It's going to update it. Now, because I have done that now, I can actually push, okay? So look at this, push. Okay, now it says the branch main, okay? So let's just do okay, and it's going to push, okay? Oh, sorry. So I have to pull first because I made some changes. So I have to pull first. Okay, so it will pull. No tracking information. Okay, all right. Let's do this. Okay, so once you set that, once you do that, you can pull. Okay, and then you can, before you push. Okay, I have to look at this. I guess maybe the branches. All right. So no worries. So you can do that, Emas. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Great. All right. Any other question before we wrap up? Hi, Priscilla.
Yeah, please, when you create the personal access, is it personal access token, the part?
Yes, personal access
when
token.
You create it,
yeah,
it means you use that token for all the repository you will be creating.
Yes. So this is your authentication key. So you need to keep this secure. Okay. Now, this is not very safe what I'm doing. I'm showing you guys publicly what my personal access token is, but I'm going to delete it right after this session. All right. So you will not get access to it, but you need to keep this thing secure because this is what you're going to use to authenticate to your GitHub. And for every cloning that you do, you need to conform to this particular URL. Use the personal access token and then just add the rest of the information, just as I showed you. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Kenneth. Hi, Kenneth. Kenneth, we can't hear you. Adrian?
Yes.
Adrian, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Adrian. Kenneth, please hold on.
Oh, so my question is not about the Nini. I think I've understood everything that you've explained in this session. My question is on tomorrow, since tomorrow is the PLD, how are we supposed to go about that?
So just as I said, you remember what we did on PLDs? You should make sure that you have established some kind of communication. Yes, James Ekan, you should make sure that you've established some kind of communication with your peers that you're going to have the PLD with. You should agree on the time that you're actually going to do your PLD. Then on the intranet, okay, I'm just going to go here. Okay, all right, here on the intranet, okay, there is conferencing rooms, right? You click on conferencing rooms, you will see a bunch of conferencing rooms created. Select one of the conferencing rooms and then have your peers join that room. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Priscilla, it's on Friday. It was going to be an intro session to the next topics that we're going to do next week. So presumably this week you should have completed all your projects. Okay. Can Adrian just give it a second? It's going to load the video conferencing rooms. Okay.
So far, I haven't been able to get in touch with any of my peers.
So please do that. So please do that right away, or find a new group that you think that will be active. You can agree on whatever time that works best for you. Okay. PLDs is like the whole day of tomorrow. Okay. So you can agree on any time and then you meet them. Hi, back to you, Kenneth.
Right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So when you downloaded the Git, I didn't recall how you linked it with VS Code, because when I open my VS Code,
okay,
I don't see staging.
Yeah. So when you install Git, right, you need to configure your Git. Okay. And I guess so that is what I told you about this part. Okay. This part of it, you update your identity. Okay. So you just open your VS Code like this. Okay. You click on terminal. Sorry, I'm just going to bring this back up. Here, you click on terminal. Okay. And then under this, you copy this code here. Okay. And then you paste it here. And then you just change this email to your email. So let's call this Kenneth@gmail.com. Okay. Then you press enter. Okay. And then you do the next one, which will be this. Wait, what? Okay, good. Okay. You copy this one here. Sorry. And then you come back to this again, and then you just put your name here. So let's say Kenneth Joseph. Yeah. Okay. Then you press enter. Okay. That will help you set up your Git identity. Once you do that, Visual Studio Code should actually identify your configuration automatically. If you still have challenges, just restart your PC. Visual Studio Code will do everything automatically for you. You don't even need to worry. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I guess that is it for us. If there are no more questions, thank you so much, guys, for joining this session. I guess I need to bring this one back up. No. Right, yeah, okay, yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much. So it's been an extensive session. We've actually taken our time to go through GitHub and how we can actually use GitHub and utilize GitHub in our projects. We've gone through the basic concept in Git and how you can use Visual Studio Code to actually utilize Git to do all your projects. Don't worry if you didn't get it at the first try. Please take your time to rewatch the video again. And if you feel at any point in time I'm moving too fast, YouTube allows you to slow down the pace so that you can actually understand. If not, we are on Discord. Please ask any question that you want on Discord. We are going to help you answer it. If there is a need for you to actually have a one-on-one session with me or lesson, please, we will give you the way to actually book that session with us, take you through it. But note that this is going to be one of the single most important things, technologies that you will learn as a software engineer or a web developer. You are going to be managing a lot of source code, and you need a way to actually manage it, and Git and GitHub is your starting or your gateway. As well, for every other project that we're going to do from next week going, where we're going to start writing actual code, we still need to keep track of those changes that we make and push them to GitHub. So please take this extremely serious. Go through it one more time. And oh, sorry, just before I end, on the intranet, on that particular task, I guess I have to just do this. Not this one. So 1 second. On the task on the intranet, you would realize that we have a bunch of videos from Obed that is explaining Git and GitHub. Okay. If you feel like you need more tutorials, please kindly go there and watch that video. As quite in depth. Oh, this is taking forever. As quite in depth, it will bring you up to speed It is one of the most important technologies that you will learn as an engineer. Okay. So this one right here. Okay. So I want to show you guys. So so you see there's a video here from Ubed on what is Git and GitHub for beginners. All right, and some of the important concepts that you need to know as well. There's also a video on GitHub Desktop if you feel comfortable using that, right, with VS Code. Okay, you can also look into that. All right, thank you so much. And there's also the live learning session here embedded here where you can always go back and
the one that we are doing right now. So just to add.
Yes. All right, so please make sure you utilize all the resources on here. We've carefully selected and planned out all these resources to make sure that you actually make the most out of this concept and then understand it and apply it in your day-to-day software engineering career. On that note, I'd say thank you so much for joining. Just a bit of announcements. PLD happens tomorrow. Please make sure that you establish some kind of communication with your peers. If you are inactive, please feel free to build up a new peer group, okay, of a bunch of people who are active and who are ready to join the session. And then also note that the project deadline is Thursday, 11:59 p.m., okay? And there will be an intro session on Friday again. So let's meet there. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll say bye for now. See you guys on the other side.